Colleagues, we have formed a quorum and it's already the appointed time. Let's invite the officials to join us. On the 27th of May, we had a meeting with the deputations, and afterwards we asked the administration and the HKJC to respond to the points made by the deputations and members, and the relevant paper has been submitted to the Bills Committee. And on the 31st of May, we also issued an updated paper by the Secretariat, paper number CB-2 1257-01 and 02, and also at the meeting held on the 27th of May, we already completed our discussion on the policy issues, and we have already allowed the administration to start with the clause-by-clause examination, and in the course of it, with regard to clause 9.3, the proposed 6GF-1B, interpretation and also the definition for specified recipient, we asked the administration to come up with a response, and that has been set out in paper number CB-2 1256-01, and if members have any further questions, then we can also invite the administration to explain the details. I'd like to remind members that in the course of discussing or voting on a particular issue, if that might give rise to any concern on possible conflict of interest, or there might also be a conflict of role, then members are advised to make a declaration of such interest, and under Rules of Procedure 83A, with regard to personal pecuniary interests disclosure requirement, it sets out that members should not move any motion or amendment on anything that has direct or indirect pecuniary interest with them unless they have already declared such interest. And if members have any direct or indirect pecuniary interest on the issue under discussion, then members should disclose the nature of such interest before they speak. First of all, I'd like to declare interest. I am a selection member of the HKJC. Any other declaration? All right. Are there any questions from members? Well, last time, Mr. Alan Leung asked about 99.3. Yes, Mr. Christopher Jong. No, I'm not on that point. Well, I'm still on the same point. 3 years later, will there be a mechanism to review the situation? And if there is, then of course we'll support it. And if there isn't, then if the revenue drops, then there is no way that our decision would affect the government's revenue to such an extent that there will be a drop in income or revenue. Permanent Secretary. We are actually liaising with the relevant bureaus and departments, including the FSTB. We are actually liaising with them, and we do need a bit of time. We have already received your views, and your views are very clear. That is, members hope that within 3 years we'll conduct a review. Indeed, we will need some time before we can come up with a government stance on the issue. So, Chairman, members, what's your view? Can I suggest that, the HA Bureau Director, when the bill resumes second and third reading debate, the SHA can also spell out his views on this. All right. Well, at this juncture, you may not have taken a decision yet, and then members can decide if they want to move an amendment so that there can be a mandatory review in 3 years. But then if majority of members are in support of moving the amendment in the name of the Bills Committee so that I'll be doing the job, then I'll have no problem at all. But then if afterwards the administration thinks that, all right, we can accept that, and we will include that in the bill, and we will also move around CSA so that there will be a review. I think it's just a modest request, and that would also ensure or protect the administration. It should have been the HKJC that would have some comments on this, because you're concerned that the government's revenue might be affected. But I have reasons to believe that the HKJC and you would also find this not difficult at all, because if you look at the average figure, all right, looking at the figure for 3 years might not be entirely accurate, and then 3 years later the revenue will actually go up. Actually, if the HKJC is not worried at all, then there is no point that you should be concerned about it. So we're just trying to make sure that the HKJC will be paying the administration what it should be paying, and then the administration's revenue or the government's revenue will not stand to lose, right? Okay, so we can we do have time to move an amendment, but then we haven't thought about it. That's it. And if there is no differential view, or even if the Bills Committee is not going to move its CSA, you can also move it on your own. Mr. Alan Leung, before you join us, I was saying that at the last meeting, I think you were asking about clause 9.3 about 6GF1B, and they have now come up with a paper. So would you like to spend some time to go through that before you ask further questions? Can I ask the administration to explain the paper to us? All right. Can you walk us through the paper? Mr. Pang? Chairman, first on the arrangement of definitions. According to the drafting practice, English definitions are arranged in alphabetical order, and Chinese definitions are arranged according to the number of strokes of the first Chinese characters. This is a standard drafting practice adopted in every piece of legislation, and this bill has also been arranged in that order. That's why when we encounter a Chinese or English phrase, the user will find it easy to locate the relevant definition if it's arranged according to this drafting practice. In this case, we do not see the need to depart from the standard practice and use other methods to arrange definitions. And the second point is, well, last time it's mentioned the specified payee and how it should be defined. We have taken a look into it. With regard to this phrase is under 6GF bracket 1B, is about well, it appears in subparagraph A and B. Well, in fact, it's about the definition of specified amount. It says that the amounts that are payable in relation to a bet type in a non-local horse race, and the aggregate of the stipulated amounts is the specified amount. And paragraph A stipulates the amount payable to the specified payee for the right to use in Hong Kong sounds or visual images or other information relating to the non-local horse race right to use information. Paragraph B stipulates the amount payable to the specified payee for the right to conduct in Hong Kong betting of the bet type on the non-local horse race, or we can also call it the right to conduct betting. In other words, specified amount is limited to amounts payable to the specified payee only. The level of specified amount affects the level of extra amount, which in turn affects the level of N in the mathematical formula for calculating the net stake receipts under the proposed section 6GF bracket 1A. The phrase specified payee is defined as the person who owns or manages the relevant right under the law that governs the right. In other words, if an amount is payable for the right to use information or conduct betting in Hong Kong, the amount does not fall under specified amount unless the amount is also payable to the person who owns or manages the right under the law that governs the right. And therefore, in calculating the amount under N, there will be a difference. Thank you, Chairman. Okay, Mr. Abraham Sheikh, sorry. I'm shuttling between different meetings. That's why I wasn't here just a moment ago. Well, I heard Mr. Christopher Chung ask the issue about the 3-year review. I was the one who raised it first. Well, if we have to have a review in 3 years and they have to come to this council, that might be a bit too complicated, Mr. Chung. Okay, for the 3-year period in question, maybe the HKJC or the administration can come and explain to us how the bill is operating. So we only need to have a report. There is no need for us to change or amend the bill at all, so that they can come to us in 3 years telling us whether or not it's been a success or otherwise. So that's the review that I was referring to. So you're actually saying something that's somewhat different from what you said last time. So you're suggesting that there would not need to be a review. Well, it depends. If you look at the spirit of the legislation here, I think the emphasis is not the review. We are not trying to stand in the way. If you look at the latest horse race in Singapore, it shows that there is a big problem. And therefore, I suggest that we should enact the legislation as soon as possible so that we can strike a balance. I think the balance is more important than the review. And I am suggesting a way out. Instead of requiring a review under the law, we should get a pledge or an undertaking from the administration that is in 3 years' time. They'll tell us whether or not it's been a success or otherwise. So you're actually prepared to accept it. But I wonder if Mr. Christopher Chung would be prepared to accept it. Actually, the Deputy Secretary said that she hadn't had the time to discuss with the Bureau Director, and one of the ways out is that in the third reading debate, the Secretary would say that in 2 or 3 years' time, the administration would be doing certain things in order to allay members' concerns that whether or not the administration should be topping up this issue so that if the revenue is guaranteed, then maybe it's okay. So, Mr. Chung, what's your view? Well, for the time being, I cannot agree, because you can't just say that there'll be a review and that's it. And then you can always let them off the hook afterwards. There is no guarantee. All right, I also have to declare interest. I'm a selecting member of the HKJC. I'm also a board member of the Macau Jockey Club. Yes, Mr. Leung, do you have anything to add after Mr. Pang has explained? No. Chairman, if you read 1A, it's from 1A, and N would give rise to this extra amount. And if that's the case, you should have dealt with extra amount. Without extra amount, we do not have to know what's meant by specified amount. Without specified amount, we don't have to know what's meant by specified payee. And of course, Mr. Pang is the expert. I don't intend to debate with him. That's it. I fully support what you said. I think there is a logic behind what you said. But then if they want to look at the stroke and so on, then of course it's their view.
Legal advisor, I would like to supplement. In Mr. Pang's paper about arranging according to alphabetical order, if you refer to 5.2.8 of the guidelines, according to the English definition, it is going to be in accordance with the alphabetical order. In Chinese, usually the order should be based on the number of strokes. So you said usually, will there be some exceptional cases? What will be some exceptions? Thank you for the question. Actually, we have asked our colleagues when we talk about usually, well, usually it will be the first English word, or in international conventions, for example, 1860 convention, in this case, the first word is not a Chinese character, then these are not usual cases. But if it is Chinese character, we will look at the number of strokes. Chairman, I don't intend to debate here. I just want to share my view. What Mr. Pang said is right. I have read many of such laws. However, we are not on item 2 of a bill. In other words, there are no interpretations here. This is not an interpretation clause. We're talking about how readers will read the newly added clause. However, Chairman, this is just my opinion. I think we have to listen to the law draftsman, because he has his values, he has his method. But just to put on record that I have raised this point, I don't intend to debate further. Any other questions from members? No question, but I was late. I just want to declare that I am a member of the Jockey Club. Mr. Liu Changkong. Mr. Alan Leung has also declared interest. Any other declaration of interest? Okay. Before we move on to the marked up copy, in fact, we can do it now. The Assistant Legal Advisor on the 22nd April 2013 wrote a letter to the administration requesting some clarifications in the law drafting. The two papers are CB bracket 21092/12-13 bracket 03 and the administration's response on CB2 1092/12-13 bracket 04. Legal advisor, do you need to discuss these two letters? Do you want some discussion with the administration? About the two letters, I actually asked the administration to clarify on some points of drafting. After reading their response, there is no other thing I would like to follow up. Okay, then all clear. In that case, perhaps Deputy Secretary, can you guide us through the marked up copy, please? Yes, thank you, Chairman. At the last meeting, concerning the gazetted version of the ordinance, we went through each clause already. So now I would like to refer you to CB2 1092/12-13 bracket 02, the marked up copy of the amendments. And last time, we introduced the gazetted version in detail already. So today I will focus on the newly added clauses or the amended clauses. Okay. First of all, there are some newly added and amended clauses on page 2. Page 2. The A1, clause A1, we add in the validity date of the guarantee period, that is 1st of September 2013, in place of the period starting 2006 when the betting duty ordinance was enacted. And on the 31st of August 2009, that 3-year period has already expired. Okay. And then on the same point about guarantee period, A bracket 3. So the term specified is added, specified horse race conductor, in place of first horse race betting conductor. First horse race betting conductor refers to the original section 6GB on 15th August 2006 when the law came into effect. Then under that section, the first horse race betting conductor license was issued. And now we would like to abolish this definition about the first one, because that was related to the guarantee in the 2006 betting duty ordinance. So now we would like to facilitate the arrangement. So we want to say specified horse race betting conductor. So this specified conductor will, in accordance with section 6GB, on the 1st September 2013 becomes a licensee. The next amendment is on page 3 of the marked up copy. First, guaranteed amount. The definition of guaranteed amount. It refers to Section 6GG. Because Section 6GG is no longer effective. It is related to the 3-year guarantee period, which expired on the 30th of September 2009. So now, in the latter part of the bill, there is a newly added 6GGA, Clause 6GGA. It will spell out the new guaranteed amount. So in the definition of guaranteed amount, Section 6GGA will replace Section 6GG. On the same page, page 3, the next amendment is on net stake receipts. A. Net stake receipts. A. Conduct of authorized betting to be changed to authorized bettings on local horse races. And 6GF bracket 1, 6GF is changed to 6GF bracket 1. And the purpose is to say that the calculation of the net stake receipts will only apply to local horse races and local betting. And then about net stake receipts, in the marked up copy, there is a place marked with a triangle, bracket AB. This is a newly added section or clause, AB. On non-local horse races, the net stake receipts, the calculation method is set out. So in other words, in the future, there will be a newly added Section 6GF bracket 1A in this bill to spell out the calculation method of net stake receipts. That's all about page 3. Page 4. There are some amendments as well as newly added clauses. On net stake receipts, we have added a new definition on local horse race and non-local horse race. Local horse race, that is, races taking place in Hong Kong. Non-local horse race means horse race which takes place in places outside Hong Kong. At the same time, we have to make sure that there is the facilitation for transfer in and out of bets, and so we will say we will use specified horse race betting conductor to replace the first horse race betting conductor. So specified horse race betting conductor is in accordance with Section 6GB, the license holder under Section 6GB. This license will be in force on the 1st September 2013. And B, under that section, specified horse race betting conductor is authorized to conduct betting on horse races. Then they will be specified horse race betting conductors. If there's no question, then let's move on to page 5. Page 5, in the middle, about horse race betting duty on the definition. Now, it is under 6GD or 6GE, the duty charged under these sections. Now, we would like to propose to delete 6GE and replace it by 6GEA, because 6GE is related to the 3-year guarantee period of the 2006 betting duty ordinance, and that period has already expired. And then the full stop is added. Okay. Then let's move on. Page 6, there is no newly added clause. And then let's move on to page 7. Page 7 is about Section 6GD, horse race betting duty. Subsection 1, we will delete, subject to subsection 2. Subsection 2 is deleted. And then is charged at the rate specified in Schedule 1 on the net stake receipts that are derived from the conduct of authorized betting on horse races. But then we will replace on horse races by on local horse races. For this amendment, subsection 1 of 6GD, horse race betting duty will only apply to local betting on local horse races. So in other words, non-local betting in local horse races will not be subject to horse race betting duty. They will be levying at source. Okay, no problem, no question. Continue, please. Page 8. Page 8. There are 3 amendments here. First of all, 6GD bracket 3A is added. It reads, a duty is charged at the rate specified in Schedule 3 on the net stake receipts that are derived from the conduct of authorized betting on non-local horse races by a horse race betting conductor in respect of each charging period. In other words, we have specified that on non-local horse races, for the authorized betting on non-local horse races, the net stake receipts derived in the future will be subject to a new duty rate, and that is a flat rate. And this rate will be specified in Schedule 3. If there is no question, then page 9, there is no new clause. And then let's move on to page 10. Page 10.
It's a newly added 6GEA, and it provides the circumstances under which the local horse race betting conductor will have to pay a guarantee. And if you look at the details here, 6GEA bracket 1 provides that this section applies if the following circumstances arise under subparagraph A. The guaranteed amount for a whole relevant charging period under 6GD bracket 3A, if it exceeds the horse race betting duty charged under that section on the net stake receipts, and if the receipts are derived from the conduct of authorized betting on non-local horse races by the specified horse racing or horse race betting conductor in respect of that charging period. And B is the same. It's about the net stake receipt on a particular horse race. And if the net stake receipt is smaller than the guaranteed amount, then extra duty will have to be imposed in order to make up for the shortfall. and that's 6GEA subsection 3. The further duty is equal to the difference between the following. And the difference refers to A, the guaranteed amount, and B, the duty charge in respect of the wholly relevant charging period or the relevant portion of the duty charge in respect of the partially relevant charging period. So further duty will have to be imposed. And if there are no further questions, then we can then turn to page 11. Page 11, concerning 6GF, subsection 1, the words on horse races are deleted and replaced by on local horse races. On the definition of Q and Y, we have also introduced the words on local horse races, and the three changes mean that with regard to the existing calculation formula on net stake receipts, they would only apply to local betting on local horse races. Also, there is a newly added clause, that's 6GF bracket 1 capital A. That's a newly added clause, and that's about non-local horse races. And if there are local betting, then how the net stake receipts should be calculated. Under 1A, it provides that the horse race betting conductor, in respect of authorized betting on non-local horse races, and if there are net stake receipts, then the amount will be calculated in accordance with the following mathematical formula, and that's L minus M minus N. And then the definition of L, M, and N are set out as respectively. L represents the total amount of bets that are accepted in relation to the conduct of authorized betting on non-local horse races by the conductor, and that are of course relevant to that charging period. And M represents the total amount of dividends and of rebates on bets that have within that charging period become payable on non-local horse races by the conductor. N represents the aggregate of the extra amount payable by the conductor for each bet type in a non-local horse race on which authorized betting is conducted by the conductor within that charging period. So the conductor will have to pay some extra amount in relation to conducting that horse race. So the formula is L minus M minus N. And members are invited to take a look at page 12. Page 12 has this 1B under 6GF, and as Mr. Alan Leung just said, here we have some definitions about certain phrases, and those have to do with the newly added 6GF1A. And if you refer to page 12 with regard to the newly added 6GF1B, with regard to specified amount here, it refers to the local horse race betting conductor with regard to a particular bet type in a non-local horse race then for the purpose of conducting these races, he will have to obtain certain information, and A and B sets out that if there are sounds or visual images, and also the dividend to be paid out, and so on. B also says that the amount payable to the specified payee for the right to conduct in Hong Kong betting of that type on the race. In relation to the information mentioned above, and also the right for conducting that horse race betting in Hong Kong, then if he has to pay that amount, then that amount will be regarded or treated as the specified amount. And if the specified amount is what the Hong Kong local authorized horse race betting conductor pays to the specified payee, and if it exceeds 1.5% of the total amount of bets of that type, then in calculating the net stake receipts, that amount will be deducted. Page 13, no amendment. Page 14, there is a newly added clause, and that's 6GGA. 6GGA is about guaranteed amount for non-local horse races, and here concerning the wholly or partially relevant charging period, how that guarantee amount will be calculated, and that's $175 million multiplied by the number of relevant days in that charging period to be divided by 365. So that amount is set at $175 million. Page 15. Page 15 is 6GI, provisional payments. 6GI 1 and 2 we have repealed 6GF bracket 2, and we have also added 6GD bracket 3A, and these are corresponding amendments, so that 6GI provisional payments would only apply to 6GD 3A. So the whole page are corresponding amendments in relation to this one. If there are no questions, then we can move on to page 16. Page 16, as I said at the beginning on page 2, I already referred to the definition of the guarantee period, and that applies to the authorized horse race betting conductor, and that has been replaced by the first horse race betting conductor, and the arrangement here is similar. Under subsection 3, we have replaced first horse race betting conductor by specified horse race betting conductor, and also in terms of the formula, we have used the amount $175 million as the basis for the guarantee amount, and that's why, as you can see here, under 4A and B, we have both replaced the existing figure with $175 million, and towards the bottom of the page, on the definition of W, W represents the total amount of race provisional payments referred to with regard to the charging period, and the horse race betting conductor has already made under 1A bracket 2 the total amount that has been paid on a provisional basis to the administration with regard to the bets received on that race. And as a result of that, with regard to the local net stake receipts on local races, that would apply to 6GD3A. No problem. Now, we jump to page 21. Page 21. Page 21 is Schedule 1, and Schedule 1 originally says that net stake receipts that are derived from the conduct of authorized betting on horse races by a horse race betting conductor in respect of a charging period. Now we have changed that to from local horse races, and therefore as a result of that amendment, Schedule 1 with regard to the progressive tax rates, that would only apply to the net stake receipts from local horse races. And for the second newly added clause, and we have also made it clear that is with regard to the net stake receipts that are derived from the conduct of authorized betting on, instead of horse races, we have changed it to local horse races. On the same page, concerning the newly added Schedule 3, alright, the title of Schedule 3 is Rate of Duty on Net Stake Receipts from Non-Local Horse Races, and this duty rate is 72.5%. In other words, Schedule 3, which is a newly added schedule, provides that there will be a flat rate of 72.5% applicable to the net stake receipts from non-local horse races. Then we move on to page 22, which is one that I need to go through in detail. This is to scrap some of the invalidated provisions. That includes 3AA with regard to submission of returns in respect of betting on horse races, and subparagraph 3B. And on page 23 we have subparagraph 5. So these two clauses have been scrapped. That's in relation to the betting duty ordinance in 2002.
Chairman, that's all I would like to introduce or explain. Thank you. Okay, we have finished our work. Is there any question from members? If not, Mr. Chong Shu Ken, I think you may have to consider whether you want to move amendments. The administration will tell us later how the Secretary is going to deal with this during second reading and third reading. When will he come up with an answer? If he says okay, then I don't need to move amendments. It is proposed that during second and third reading, the Secretary can make a response. But are you going to tell us his response beforehand? Yes, if he is ready, then yes. Mr. Chong, if there is no question from members today, then I guess today we can complete our scrutiny work of this bill. In that case, on the 3rd of July, the administration would like to resume second reading debate of this bill. In that case, our timetable is like this. On the 10th of June, we will give notice to the chairman of the House Committee that second reading debates can be resumed. And then on the 14th of June, I will submit report to the House Committee. And the deadline for giving notice on resumption of second reading debate is 17th of June, and the deadline for giving notice on the committee stage amendments is 22nd of June. So, Mr. Chong, you can do it before the 22nd of June. Administration, don't be too close to the deadline. Let's say if you give notice on second reading debate by the 17th of June, then at that time, perhaps you can tell us how the Secretary will handle this matter. Okay, we will take notes of these important dates. We will try our best to match the schedule. Okay. Then if members agree that the date of resumption of second reading debate then the administration should write to the chairman of the HC on when to resume second reading debate. And before the specified date, notice should be given on resumption of second reading debate. Since we have completed our work today, at first we have fixed a date, fixed a meeting on the 14th of June, and now this meeting can be cancelled. At first, we planned to adjourn this meeting at 12:45. Sorry, I can't hear you. Chairman, you are so smart. If there is no other business, then this meeting is adjourned here. Thank you very much.
大佬龍